Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be making this pot. It's a reproduction of a 19th century Portugal water vessel, and this is actually made by Restoration Hardware. I thought it looked really cool, and so I thought I'd make my version of it. And so we're starting out by mixing up some SculptCrete, and we're making it in a clay consistency. That's 3 parts material to 1 part water. And then you knead it like dough. And I'm just going to push it into the bottom of this basket. So this pot weighs approximately 16 pounds. So if you wanted to make one of these, you would need to buy one of our 20-pound boxes. Anyway, now we're going to put a layer on the inside of the basket, and I've made it just a little thicker than yogurt. Peanut butter consistency would have been a little bit better. But that's all right, we'll make it work. So now I'm laying in the fiberglass mesh. This is your sheetrock mesh, your tape that you use on sheetrock joints. Works really good for SculptCrete also. Makes it super strong, so we use it a lot. So this next part, I actually forgot to push record on the video camera. So I apologize if we missed all of that part of that recording. But I'm doing the same thing I did on the inside of the pot, just on the outside. And we've got a little friend helping us on this area, so that's fun. Now, this is the fun part. I thought this basket would come off as I put the packing tape on the inside as a barrier, as a release. And I could not get this basket off, so this basket ended up being a sacrificial basket. And I hit it with hammers. I did everything I could to get it off, and it would not come off. At this point, I'm using a grinding disc or a sanding disc. I think it's 36 grit, and just cleaning up those seams. And now we've made up a peanut butter consistency mixture, and applying it with our cake knife or our frosting knife. I really like the frosting knives for sculpting or smoothing edges. And whenever you put new SculptCrete on old previous layer of SculptCrete, it's a good idea to wet it down. Sometimes I forget. It sticks okay, but I think it works a little better if you wet it first. It gets a better bond anyway. So we're just applying and smoothing and applying and smoothing until we've covered the whole thing, and getting a texture that we're happy with. Now I'm mixing up some more SculptCrete, and I'm mixing this into the clay consistency. That's the 3 parts to 1 part water, and then I'm rolling it out. And we're going to go ahead and make a neck for our pot now. And I've used just a container that's about the right size for the neck that I'm looking for. And we're just going to roll that out to a nice consistency and make it all uniform. Okay, now that we have our neck made, and I'm cleaning it up here and then smoothing it up with some water and a brush, we're going to take some window foam seal. You can get this at Home Depot or Lowe's or probably any Ace Hardware as well. And I'm doing 2 layers, as that's the thickness that I want. And this worked really well as a mold for that top ring. And just trying to make sure I get a nice uniform distance around. We mix up our next batch in a clay consistency, and you'll notice that these are all small batches. So you build your SculptCrete projects in different batches, in smaller batches, and then build on top of each other. And this allows you to have enough time to do each part, so that you're not rushing to try to beat the setting of the SculptCrete. So then I'm making up another batch here. I want a second layer of SculptCrete on that ring. So I'm just rolling this out and getting it ready to take my roller pin and to flatten next. I guess I could have done this with this first layer too, but I was trying some different things. But either way works. Just need to get a nice thick consistency on both layers, so you have kind of a uniform consistency around the pot. So go ahead and add those 2 layers together and fill any gaps and clean it up, and take the knife and clean up all the edges. Working with SculptCrete really isn't too hard, and once you get comfortable with its nature, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can build with it. Now I'm building these accent pieces, and I actually marked a pot previous. I didn't show that on video, but I just split it in 4 for these 4 pieces here. I actually don't know what you would call these, but they sure look cool on the pot. Some kind of a lifting area. I don't know if you guys know what that was used for on these water vessels. Would you let us know? Because they look really cool, but I'm not sure what they were used for. Anyway, got the 4 done, so we just did that. All 4 of those. This is a diamond file that you can get at a big box store, hardware store. They're made for sharpening scissors and things. Works good on the SculptCrete for cleaning up the rough edges, and a little sandpaper. Now I'm going to add a little bit of SculptCrete under that, just to kind of make a nice transition upward into that ring. I think it just looks nice, so I'm working it. This is a peanut butter, maybe a little thicker than peanut butter consistency, maybe fudge. Anyway, it's yeah, just making that transition between those 2 pieces. Now this is at least 6 hours later. This is probably the next day. Go ahead and pull out that container and clean up the rough edges. Okay, now that we've got it all cleaned up, it's going to be time to paint. So I'm starting out with some gesso. I'm just putting a coat, a base coat on. And this is far ahead, as I just started painting, and I just kept painting until I got what I wanted. This is latex mold builder. I'm using it as a you know, to peel off. You'll see here in a minute where it peels off. It's just latex, and it gives us kind of it breaks up the paint. Gives us another way to make it look old and used. I didn't get the exact look that they had on their pot. I have some things to learn, I guess, in making things look old, but I think I did okay. I'm using some actual wood stain here, as I wanted to get some brown, translucent brown on there. It actually worked really well. I wasn't sure if it was going to dry. I was kind of worried that it was going to affect the paint and not dry, but it worked fine. There you go, guys. There's a way to make your Portuguese water vessel.